Welcome to Weeds That Feed. I'm Andy Dean from the Natural Garden, and I'm on a mission to celebrate and advocate for our native and wild plants that contribute so highly to nature. This is part one of our weekly look at plants that I call a pantry for wildlife, because in this part we take a fairly in-depth look at what insects the plant supports. And this week's weed that feeds is holly, Ilex aquifolium. Okay, maybe this isn't quite so much of a weed, but I'd argue this native tree is overlooked when it comes to its performance. Holly is an evergreen woodland understory tree, thriving on almost any soil from chalk to clay. It forms dense shelter for birds and insects. Why is it so good? What insects does holly feed? Well, just one butterfly actually, the holly blue, which is the primary food plant for the caterpillar, meaning it's the first choice of that caterpillar. Holly blue was down about 80% between 2023 and 2024, but since 2020 we're at 10, it's up by about 35%. Also feeds the caterpillars of 5 moths, including swallow-tailed moth, a beautiful ghostly nocturnal moth. The double-striped pug, the larvae of that feed on a variety of plants and bushes, but holly and gorse. Holly I spoke about last week, incidentally. The yellow-barred brindle, whose larvae feed on the flowers and leaves of holly and ivy. And the dunbar, known for their cannibalistic tendencies towards other moth caterpillars. And the privet hawk moth, Britain's largest hawk moth species, with a wingspan of up to 12 centimetres. And as the name suggests, that's named after its primary food plant, which is privet, another native. Holly also supports another 22 phytophagous insect species, including 7 beetles, 1 fly, 11 true bugs, that's sap-sucking creatures, and 3 micromoths. That's 28 larval and other phytophagous herbaceous species of insect. It also supports 19 pollinators, all bees, so that's a honeybee, at least 2 bumblebees, and 15 species of solitary bee, many of those mining bees. That's 47 insects in total, both herbivorous and pollinators, that holly supports. Beyond that, holly is one of Britain's most culturally important native trees. Its evergreen leaves symbolise resilience and protection. And in winter they're hung on the outside of the houses in a storm to protect against lightning, and the berries were thought to ward off evil spirits. Probably could have, they're like blood red drops in winter when nothing much else is in leaf. I hope this inspires you to take a closer look at the plants we often overlook. And remember, holly isn't just for Christmas. It quietly feeds over 50 insect species throughout the year. And if you've enjoyed this and want to learn more about plants that truly earn their place in the garden and beyond, please like, subscribe and leave a comment. And don't forget to tune in for part 2 of Weeds That Feed, called Grow This Instead, where we see if there are any obvious swap outs for ornamental plants that don't offer quite as much to nature, so we can choose plants that wildlife choose. Thanks again.